My husband came down with early onset Alzheimer's, I'd say about 8 years ago. And it came on, like I'm sure it does for many people, very subtly, and it was really hard to define what was happening. So I'd say that really I was completely shocked, and talk about traumatized, when I first found out that indeed he did have Alzheimer's. I always thought of the two of us as being relatively young, and we were both in pretty good health. And to have to face this was very, very difficult. At any rate, I took care of my husband for 7 years, working and caring for him, going through, eventually getting to the point where I did hire a lady to come in and be there part-time. I was really lucky to have such a supportive sister. I have 2 sisters, and one was local, and believe me, I could not have gotten through this entire time without her and her help. And I was getting ready to take my 2-week vacation, and I realized that Jim was at a point where I could not go through another school year, having to work the hours that I do, and still be able to attend to him, because his needs had gotten so great at home. It really came down to 2 choices. Either I was going to have hire someone to live in, and we live in a townhouse. I didn't have that kind of facility, nor did I have the equipment to be able to care for him appropriately. Or, I would have to look for somewhere for him to be able to go.
It was difficult for her. She's an incredibly empathetic, compassionate woman, and it was very difficult to take him and leave him there. He was not real thrilled about it, and it was like, come on, I'm going to drag you out of here. But convincing her that she was doing the right thing and that this wasn't some self-serving, I'm going to make it easier on myself, that's hard, and it's hard for people to accept, but everybody needs somebody who's going to reinforce that for them all the time.
So considering I knew I had to go through the route of doing Medicaid, I needed help, without a doubt. And actually, my doctor had suggested, given me Mindy's name, Mindy Valentin, because she was an elder care lawyer.
Prior to actually Betty coming in, I believe she completed the questionnaire that I have married couples complete, which lists their assets, which is really one of the key ingredients in working with the client, because I need to explore all of the assets that they own, whether they're jointly owned or individually owned, because that's all part of determining what assets are going to be countable, meaning that Medicaid is a program that has a 2-fold test. You have to be at a poverty level, which means you cannot have more than a certain amount of assets, and that varies. But also, whether it's a married couple, you're dealing with the spouse's assets versus the institutionalized spouse's assets. and whether they're exempt assets, meaning there are certain assets that people can continue to own, for example, a house, a car, things like that. So that's really a key ingredient that we look at.
It seemed really overwhelming once again to me. And I knew I had basically 2 weeks to be able to place Jim before the end of my vacation. Still, Mindy assured me that she could help me and that she could support me as I did this. She also assured me, which was probably the best news I had received maybe in 8 years, that she would be the one to go and take our papers and to advocate for me and to help actually make this application come to fruition. You know, it's somewhat easier on me in that I don't have to worry about his safety or has he gotten out of the house, has he fallen, any of those things. But at the same time, as soon as I'm finished work, I run over there to spend time with him, and now but I can't imagine how other people go through this. Certainly, the only way I got through it was with the key people, my sister and her husband, and Mindy, and my doctor. Those were my key people who supported me all through this process.